Alrighty, in this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to do a reflection. So first off, a reflection is a rigid motion transformation that flips or mirrors an image over a line of reflection. So I try to tell my students, when you're doing a reflection, think of a mirror. Like when you see yourself in the mirror, you're still the same person, but you look a little different, like things are in reverse. I always say, think of if you had writing on your shirt or something. The writing is kind of backwards. It's still the same word, but it's a little bit different. So that's what a reflection does. It takes a shape and it just reflects it somewhere and it kind of makes it backwards, but it's still the same shape. So I'm going to do a little example with you guys. Okay, so I have this little graph right here. And we have triangle ABC, and I labeled the points. A is at 2, 2. B is at 2, 9. And C over here is at 7, 2. And remember, when we are naming points, you do the X value first and the Y value second. Okay? All right, so a question that you could see about reflections would say something like this. Reflect triangle ABC over the X-axis. We are only doing question 1 to start with. Reflect triangle ABC over the X-axis. So in this case, the X-axis is our line of reflection, because remember our definition said you reflected over a line of reflection. So we need to figure out which one our X-axis is. Now I'm going to label that this one is my X, and this one up here is my Y. And the way I teach my students to remember that is you can write the letter X really, really fat. If I wanted, I could be like, right, really fat. And the Y is the tall one, because a Y is kind of a tall letter. I could write a Y super tall if I wanted to. Okay, so the Y is the tall one, the X is the fat one. That's why I tell my kids to remember it. All right, okay, so I'm going to reflect this triangle over the X-axis. Again, it should not look the exact same. It should not be facing this way, because remember, when we look in a mirror, it looks a little bit different. So it shouldn't look the exact same, but it's going to be the same shape, just kind of backwards. So I'm going to start with point A. Now when I do a reflection, I keep it on the same line, but I'm just flipping it down here. So I'm going to keep it on line 2, but I want to do the opposite of up to, right? I went over 2, up 2 to get to point A. I want to do the opposite of up 2. I want to go over 2 and down 2, right? So now I'm going to label this A prime. So did you guys see that? All I did was I kept it on the same line, but I reversed it. Instead of going up 2, I went down 2, because I'm flipping it over this line. And something you should know is that your line of reflection should be the direct center between corresponding angles. So angle A right here and angle A prime, or you could just call them point A and point A prime. To get to the line of reflection from A prime, I go up 2. To get to the line of reflection from A, I just go down 2. Do you see how that is the direct center between these 2 points? That should always be the case when I do a reflection. Okay, now we're going to do point B. So to get to B, I went over 2, up 9. I'm going to reverse that. I'm going to go over 2, down 9, and my 9 looks like it's all the way down here. Again, B and B are on the exact same line. B and B prime are on the same line. And the middle between these 2 points is, again, my line of reflection, which is the X-axis in this case. Okay, my last point I need to do is C. So to get to C, I went over 7, up 2. So I'm going to go over 7, down 2. Cool, and this is now point C prime. Okay, the last step is you just connect your dots. Now you can connect them using a ruler if you want to give yourself a straight line. I'm going to use a ruler just so it's a little bit more clear in the video. But like as long as you're just connecting the points, you should be fine. If it's not a perfectly straight line, again, it's okay. But because this is for like teaching purposes, I want to be as accurate as I can be, so I am going to use a ruler. Cool. Oh, that one was not perfect. Okay. Should be like right up here. Okay. So I took this shape right here, and I just reflected it again over the X-axis was my line of reflection. And you can see it's still the same shape. It's a triangle, but it kind of just looks like upside down now. And that's kind of what the mirror does, right? It reverses things. It looks backwards, so it's just upside down. And I am going to label my points. So A prime is over 2 and negative 2 because I go down 2. C prime is over 7 and down 2. And B prime is over 2 and down 9. So by looking at my coordinates, let's compare A and A prime. A is 2, 2. A prime is 2, negative 2. You can see that the only thing that changed was my y coordinate right here got a different sign. It became negative. Let's look at C. C was at 7, 2, and C prime is at 7, negative 2. Again, the same thing. My y coordinate just got a negative sign. And if you look at B and B prime, again, y coordinate just changed signs. So if I were to make a general rule, because some students really learn from rules, and I think that's awesome. When I am reflecting something over the x-axis, my x value stays the exact same, but my y value changes signs, okay? So this does mean if this was negative to begin with, my y value would go positive. But in the example we used, our y values went negative, but my x's stayed the exact same. So the general rule when doing a reflection over the x-axis, your y value changes signs. Okay, we're going to try another one. So our second question says, reflect triangle ABC over the y-axis. So I'm going to take my original triangle again, not A prime, B prime, C prime, ABC, and I'm now going to reflect it over my y-axis. So some of you can see that it's going to be right over here somewhere. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to look at A, and to get to A, I went over 2, up 2. But now I want this to be the middle, so I need to go back 2. Some of you can see that. I need to go backwards. So I'm still going to go up 2, but instead I'm going to start by going back 2, up 2. Back 2, up 2. So my A prime is right here, and I'm going to write the coordinates of it right now. I went negative 2, up 2. Okay, do you guys see that? If I counted to my line of reflection, which in this case is the y-axis, from A prime it is over 2, from A it is also over 2. That is the direct center between the 2 points. That's crucial that you guys remember that. Your line of reflection should be the center. Okay, now I'm going to do B. To get to B, I went over 2, up 9. So I'm going to go back 2, up 9, because I want this line to be the middle. So B prime falls right here at negative 2, 9. Okay, so I have my A prime and my B prime. My last point is C. To get to C, I went over 7, up 2. I'm going to go back 7, up 2. And here is my C prime. And if I were to write those coordinates, again, I went negative 7, 2. And now I'm just going to connect my lines. This time I'm not going to do it with a ruler. Just going to go, so you can see my lines aren't going to be perfect, but you'll get the idea. And I'm going to connect these two. Oh wow, that's actually pretty dang straight, right? Look how good that looks. Okay, so you can see that I took this shape and I just flipped it over this line right here, Y. So again, my y-axis is my line of reflection, and it is the center between corresponding points or angles, okay? It's very important. All right, so now let's try and come up with a general rule. Let's look at our coordinates. So if you're looking at my coordinates, let's look at A. I had 2, 2. A prime is negative 2, 2. So my y value stayed the same. This time my x value changed. Let's look at B. B is 2, 9, negative 2, 9. So hopefully you are seeing a pattern at this point. And the pattern on this one is that my y value stayed the same, but my x value changed signs. So if I were to make a general reflection rule about reflecting something over the y-axis, our x value changed signs, but our y value stayed the same. Okay? So these are general rules that we could make. Awesome. So that is how you do a reflection, you guys. And just to close the video again, a reflection is a rigid motion transformation that flips or mirrors an image over a line of reflection.